Hello everyone, Dr. Mark here again, and today I want to talk to you about the 7 things you should ask yourself before getting a new puppy. All dogs are great pets and there are so many excellent dog breeds to choose from, but unfortunately, all too often, families come into the veterinary clinic with dogs that are not suited for them. This is unfortunate because a dog will be with his or her family for the next 10 to 15 years. If not chosen correctly, the new puppy may turn the family from dog ownership forever, may end up being taken to the shelter when just out of the little puppy stage, or even if the family decides to put up with their choice, the dog may end up making them miserable. There is no best breed, as all dog owners are different and have needs that will vary. The most popular breeds, which are fine for many families, can be totally inappropriate. The Labrador Retriever, for example, a nice pet and appropriate for a family with a large yard, is not the ideal dog for someone who spends all day at work and does not even have time to walk the dog when at home. The French Bulldog, a small dog who does well in an air-conditioned apartment, is not appropriate for a family that wants to spend their days hiking in the mountains or playing on the beach. A dog like the Golden Retriever, easy to train and low prey drive, is not a good dog to choose if no one is home all day long. The first thing you should ask yourself is, do you have other pets? If you have a cat, parrot, rabbit, or pocket pets like hamsters or mice, you should never get a dog that chases and has a high prey drive. There are some great dog breeds out there with low prey drives, like the Maltese, Bichon Frise, Cavalier, Old English Sheepdog, Golden Retriever, Great Pyrenees, and many other livestock guard dogs. Sighthounds, herding dogs, most terriers, and some hunting breeds should be avoided. Your next question should be, do you work all day, or are you home most of the day? Several lazy dog breeds will do okay if left alone most of the day, but many dogs that we think are fine pets end up with separation anxiety when left alone. Stay away from the working and herding dogs if you are not home much. The third thing you need to think about should be, is someone in the family allergic to dogs? There is no such thing as a truly hypoallergenic breed, but there are several that release fewer irritants and are much more appropriate for a household with a child or adult who is allergic to dogs. Poodles and the Doodles, poodle crosses, may have less dander, and dogs like Bichons that are bathed frequently and do not shed are a great choice. The fourth question is important, and is, are there small children? Or are there going to be children in the future? A small dog breed may bite a child but is much less likely to cause permanent scarring than a large dog breed. Bichons, French Bulldogs, Cavaliers, and even Beagles are less likely to bite. Teaching your children to give the dog some boundaries, like not messing with him during meal times, is going to prevent more than half of dog bites, but there is always more to worry about when a dog is large. The fifth question should be, are you concerned about barking? Some dogs do bark a lot, and others only bark when alerting to someone coming into the house. One type of dog, the Basenji, does not bark at all but does yodel and make other sounds. French Bulldogs and Cavaliers bark a little, but not much. Some great pets, like Maltese and Golden Retrievers, do bark a lot. The sixth question can be very important if you want to get a large dog, so you need to ask yourself, do you own your own home? A lot of dogs do not fit the weight or size requirements imposed by some landlords. Even if your dog is okay in your current situation, however, they may prevent you from finding another place to live. Many of the large or medium-large dogs I see that come into the shelters are given up for that reason. Some families with tiny dogs cannot find a new house and have to surrender their dog to the shelter, but that is much less common. The last thing to consider is, what kind of dog can you afford to maintain? Some dog breeds, like the French Bulldog, are overbred and have very expensive medical costs. Small and medium-sized dogs are usually less expensive than large and giant dogs like the Golden Retriever and Great Dane. Although there is no way to predict which dogs will get sick, the costs associated with health care for a giant dog are much higher. More anesthesia is needed, so surgery is more expensive, and medications are based on weight and will cost more. Estimates vary, but it is usually about half as expensive to keep a small dog as opposed to a giant. The purchase price is usually less for a small dog, and, of course, food and routine medications like heartworm prevention, flea and tick medications, and dewormers will cost more for a giant dog. Expect things to get more expensive too. The average lifetime cost of caring for a dog is $60,602, according to a new study. That's a nearly 12% increase for dog care since 2022. Though owners appear to generally know that pet care is expensive, nearly 80% underestimate the actual lifetime costs. No matter how well you choose your breed, it can all go wrong when you go to buy your new puppy. The number one problem I see when families have chosen the right dog for their household is that they have found their puppy in an inappropriate place. Dogs can be found in many good places. Some of my dogs have been from backyard breeders, some from ethical breeders, and a few were from the animal shelter. There is nothing wrong with any of those choices as long as you realize the limitations. Backyard breeders usually just breed pets to make some extra money or because they know people who want one of the puppies. They are much less likely to spend money on testing a dog for inheritable diseases, but there is a lot to be said for a puppy raised in a home, and you will almost always be able to meet the parents and evaluate how well the puppies were socialized. A backyard breeder that has 5 or 10 dogs in a kennel in his backyard is really a puppy mill. If you are willing to accept the potential health problems and are not looking for a show dog, a home breeder can be a good choice. Ethical breeders are more likely to spend on having the dog's hips x-rayed and the eyes examined and certified by a veterinary ophthalmologist. These breeders are more aware of inherited diseases and will get genetic testing done. The dogs will be more expensive because of that, and the breeder will also have to charge more because they spent the money to have the parents judged in a dog show and gain a championship. An ethical breeder is more likely to have you sign a contract and return the dog if you no longer want them so that the dog is less likely to end up in an animal shelter. If you are willing to spend more, especially if you want to show your dog later, an ethical breeder is the best option. The local animal shelter or a breed rescue is where I usually recommend most families start their search. The type of animals available in the shelter varies a lot, as some are excellent pets that may have been abandoned because the owners moved, and some are from a pet shop or internet site and have behavioral or house training problems. Animal shelters will go out of their way to prevent the adoption of aggressive dogs and will try to match you with a pet suited for your family, but since some of their dogs are dumped off for behavioral reasons, they will also try to adopt out those dogs. Puppies are often available but are often crossbred, so they may end up being larger than you are able to keep in your home. If you are interested in a crossbred dog or a senior that has been evaluated for aggressive tendencies, a shelter is a good place to search. The most common reason I see pets that are destined to have problems is when people bring in a puppy that they've bought from a pet shop. Pet shop puppies, even when they come from some internet puppy site wholesaler that sells multiple breeds, are from puppy mills, are difficult to house train, and have a host of behavioral problems as they grow up. We often do not hear much until the second or third visit, when the owners comment that they cannot house train their puppy. Puppy mill dogs can be raised in small cages and become accustomed to filth, so they will defecate in the crate, unlike other dogs, and how their dog is afraid of visitors or urinates submissively. They are much more likely to end up in the shelter or taken to some veterinarian who is willing to put them down for behavioral problems. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you want to learn more about your pet and see other videos in the future. If you found this information helpful, please give it a like so YouTube will send this video to other viewers. If you have any comments about where you got your dog or where you think others should search, please leave a comment. If you have any questions about your new puppy's health, please check out pethelpful.com to see my Ask a Vet column.